Hello and welcome. You're watching QTV and you are watching The Week in Review. I'm Ade Darami, and across the table from me, friend and colleague Mohamed Mbodj. Mr. Mbodj, it's the usual welcome to the program.
Cheers, glad to be here.
And the usual welcome to you, the viewers. Thank you for joining us, particularly those who are regular watchers of this program. Anybody new to it, it's called The Week in Review for a good reason. We review 10 stories from the week just gone by. And this week is no different. And I'll tell you what's on the menu. His Excellency the President has just returned from Dakar, where he took part in the Senegalo-Gambia Presidential Council. Also, National Assembly member for Lower Badibu has become the latest within the National Assembly to talk out against hate speech. And also at the National Assembly, something that's been taxing all of us, well, most of us, and that is power outages. So National Assembly members took one after the other to the floor to condemn the latest power outages. Also, the Food Standards and Quality Agency also have been voicing their concerns about what happens to food when there are all these outages. Also, the Gambia has presented to the United Nations our report on how we treat migrants who come through our country. And also at the National Assembly, ministers appeared and they had to answer a whole string of questions. It went on for quite a while. Some of them kind of had me scratching my head as why are you blaming the minister for that, but I won't go into that. Also, the Kanifing Municipal Council, they're pushing on with their digital address system, and they said this is to help their policy making. And Gambia participates. They have also addressed why do we still not have an anti-corruption commission up and functioning? And again, the Gambia government, we're pushing for clean cooking gas. And finally, we go abroad. We go to Accra, Ghana, where the people of Accra, the capital city of Ghana, I beg your pardon, are complaining about the fact that the Ga language, which is native to Accra, seems to be losing ground. And so those are the stories on tonight's program. So off and running, shall we? The first one I just mentioned at the top there, His Excellency the President has just come back from a very brief meeting in Senegal with his counterpart, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, and here's some of what he talked about when he came back.
We discussed a whole range of issues. Issues like border, issues like security, issues like agriculture, climate change, terrorism. These are areas that we discuss. And I think basically we have a memorandum of understanding that is signed between us to see how best we can implement it on the ground. We are close neighbors, we are family, we are friends, and we want to continue living in peace between these two countries. We want Gambia and Senegal to be an example in the sub-region. Well, there were a lot of challenges. There are a lot of food dragging, but that is in the past. Now we're looking forward to the future. It's a new administration in Senegal, and Gambia, we are very much determined, and we are very serious with our agreements. So I think it will be much better.
Mr. Mbodj, Diomaye Faye came up with this lovely phrase, we are not two families divided by a border, but united by a border. I'm not sure how that works. But that's what he said after the meeting. But there you heard His Excellency the President, and he was quite bullish because I have to be honest, apparently when he mentioned an MOU, all the journalists were like, oh God, here we go again. And so he then jumped in and said, look, I know what you're thinking. This is yet another piece of paper that's going to gather dust. But that is not going to be the case. He actually used that phrase. He said, this one is not just going to gather dust on the shelves. We intend to make this work. But Mr. Mbodj, the reason why they roll their eyes is because we've been here before.
Absolutely. And it was just so revelatory in many ways. Papers will not gather dust.
Yeah.
is that frustration with past
Past.
bureaucracies
Yeah.
couldn't implement food dragging.
For dragging, yeah.
So we've seen it all there.
yeah, quite.
But then the spin, new administration.
Yeah,
So it seems as if what he's saying is they're trying to move away from merely signing contracts and issuing communiques and
Yeah.
forming committees and all the rest of it.
Sure.
And then now it will be implementation.
Yes.
But for some of us, we'll be asking, what has changed?
Yeah, quite.
I do not know. To bring on this new optimism that finally
Yeah.
we're going to implement. Because with that speech, very scant details.
Well, indeed,
Specificities, no idea.
quite.
Just trade, what is it? Border security, agriculture. What specifically was agreed?
In
We do
fact-
not know. What are the timelines? We
Yeah,
do not know.
That's right.
So we cannot, how do we measure progress? I
We
do
might,
not know.
we might have to rely on Jomai Fai because he went so far as to say that there were 12 such agreements. He actually gave a number,
Yes.
and he said he will be publishing them. So perhaps we might have to go to Senegal presidency page to get that finer detail that you're after. But I think there's a kind of skepticism, I think, which one would even say natural skepticism, because we've been here before. We hear all this, we're brothers, we're this, we're that. And yet there was a kind of good morning, Mr. President, in the point this very week, talking about how we have all these fine words. And yet the reality is, just for the ordinary traveler, you face all sorts of, difficulties getting just between here and Senegal and back. And they said, these are the things that need to be addressed, not yet another piece of paper. And that was even before the summit, by the way. So yes, there is the kind of, what's going to change. As you said, what, if anything, has changed? And yes, he talked about foot dragging. He talked about not going to gather dust. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We have to wait and see what's going to be different this time.
And that's been the hard hurdle ever since, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Politicians will sit wherever they sit, sign agreements and all the rest of it, but the implementation,
Yeah.
how many times, even with the African Continental Free Trade, we've
yeah.
signed, all sorts of things have happened.
Sure.
But people will tell you on the ground what's going on.
Yeah.
All of these countries, they do not have that sufficient, the state doesn't have that sufficient control over what goes on.
That's it.
It's an extraordinary situation. And apparently when you're crossing Guinea-Bissau, people will tell you, the officials will tell you, hey, look, we don't care about that paper.
But that's it. Yeah.
How do you deal with that mindset? So this is
I
really
was
what our
embarrassed.
problem is. Us people, how do we implement, what are we? This is going to be very hard. In Italy, between Gambia and Senegal, the border, everybody complains.
Yeah.
But politicians seem unable to do anything about it.
And unwilling to admit that it's a problem. Because, we remember when our colleagues, even Choi was still here, they were besieged in the bus and they actually feared for their lives. We're talking about Gambia and Senegal, and all this nonsense about we're brothers was kind of thrown in the bin.
But for me, when we say that we are brothers, we are family, we know that.
Yeah, quite.
But we know about sibling rivalry.
Indeed.
That doesn't mean that you agree on things, everything is cushy,
quite honky-dory.
easy, honky-dory. It doesn't work like that. The metaphor of the tongue and the teeth.
Yeah, quite.
And in this situation, is particularly apt because Gambia is a bit like the tongue here. that sort of thing,
Indeed,
isn't it?
quite.
So, of course, once in a while, you're going to have some difficulties, you're going to quarrel, you're going to do all sorts of things.
Sure.
But how do you handle it?
Yeah, that
That's
is
really
that is-
always what's the challenge.
Indeed.
How do you handle it?
Sure.
But disagreements and falling out during Jammeh's period, we saw what happened.
Indeed.
Contrast that with Jawara's period.
Yeah.
And even then, Jawara had a good relationship with Senghor,
Senghor,
yet he was always complaining. U-Tang, the Secretary General, UN Secretary General.
That's right, yes.
Jawara complained there from the 70s when it started. He was complaining the designs of Senegal.
Yeah,
everybody knew that they wanted to merge the two,
Yep.
as it were. So it is that kind of relationship.
Sure.
It will ebb and flow.
Sure.
But let us move beyond.
As the president said, we'll take our cue from him. He said we're going from
That's
commitment to action.
But that is the
We'll wait and
difficulty.
see.
That is the difficulty. With Senegal, they have their own political issues with us as well. Maybe you need, maybe we'll get it with Jomai Fai and Barrow. Really people who are pushful.
Yeah.
If you let circumstances dictate the pace, nothing will
will
move.
Yeah,
so you got to be a hard taskmaster. Really, in Africa, that's how it is.
Yeah.
That was really what Thomas Sankara said. You have to be a hard taskmaster, pushing things.
Sure.
Otherwise, nothing will happen.
Let's wait and see, because I think both of them want to be seen as the men who made it happen rather than talked about making it happen. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboj. Story number 2. Lower Badibu National Assembly member took to the floor of the National Assembly to issue a strong condemnation about hate speech, but he wasn't the only one. Have a look, have a listen.
Hate speech must never be tolerated in any civilized society. It is dangerous, divisive, and destructive. It creates mistrust among citizens, fuels hostility, and undermines the spirit of national cohesion that we have worked so hard to build as a people. This issue should not be viewed through a partisan lens. Hate speech does not belong to one political party or another. Its constituency or outcome affect the entire nation. Therefore, all political parties must take responsibility for the conduct of their members and supporters and ensure that they promote peaceful coexistence and mutual respect.
Mr. Mboj, easier said than done. And I was kind of half smiling, because even as I was listening to that, I was thinking about the previous conversation about the fact that I don't think there's a single political party which has hate speech written down as amongst its things. But how do you control your members and your supporters, as was sort of hoped for there, from kind of venting hate speech? Easier said than done, surely.
Absolutely. First, though, definition. What do we mean by hate speech?
Yeah,
there's no single universal definition of it.
Indeed.
But generally, it refers to something, doesn't it? To attack,
Yeah.
demean,
Yeah.
vilify, discriminate against, encourage violence
against
other people.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't it?
That's right.
Ethnicity, tribe, religion, race,
Yeah.
nationality, that sort of thing. That's really what is being talked about.
Indeed.
But when I was listening to the members of the National Assembly, I think Almami Jiba, the member for the Honorable Almami Jiba, sorry, for Funya Kansala, he said the other day a woman said something against an Islamic scholar.
I was going to pick up on that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
An individual.
Yeah, quite.
I do not think that that woman referred to the group as Muslims. One should do this, one should do that.
Quite.
Now let's get it clear, Ade. Not every offensive or insulting statement is hate speech.
This is true.
So we have to make this distinction.
Because sometimes you think there's a kind of overreaction.
It was just unflattering.
Yeah, quite.
It wasn't hate speech.
Well, this is it. And I think we need to draw, and some of the people need to know the definitions. You can say something insulting or derogatory about somebody. It doesn't make it hate speech. And we need to be careful, because we seem to want to brand anything that's unflattering or and against somebody as being hate speech, but it's not.
That's it. If I say something defamatory,
Yeah.
the law takes care
deal
of that. That's the individual.
That's right.
When I say it, slander. When I write it, libel. We've always had stuff like that.
Sure.
So let us get our terms right and not get too emotional.
Sure.
Some things, yes, they will insult you.
Yeah.
It's not hate speech. Nobody wants insults.
Quite.
But how can I enforce it all over the place?
And talk about members and supporters.
Members and supporters. How do you do that? You see, with the addition now of social media, things are completely different.
Sure.
You see, the traditional ways of looking at things, it just wouldn't apply.
Sure.
Who is to stop me, when I sit in my bedroom? I've got a laptop. I've got light.
If you're lucky.
You're lucky.
Yeah,
I've got connection.
Sure.
I can claim to be a supporter of UDP, NPP,
Yeah.
any of these parties, write whatever I like. What can any politician do about that?
That's it.
So let us adjust our gaze to what is doable.
Sure.
And we are mature about it and not getting too sentimental about these things.
Absolutely right. Could not agree with you more. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboj. Thank you. Now, talked about the National Assembly member. Also, one of the things he sort of jokingly said, if you have electricity. Part power outages have been quite severe in recent weeks. And so National Assembly members have been suffering. It doesn't spare anybody, apparently. And so they got to the floor and they had something to say about it. Have a look and have a listen.
This is no longer a mere inconvenience. It is a full-blown economic and social emergency. Honorable Speaker, our small and medium-sized enterprises, the lifeblood of our economy, are collapsing. Tailors, mechanics, hairdressers, and corner shop owners are watching their livelihoods evaporate because they cannot power their businesses. This crisis is the direct result of this government's chronic lack of investment in our domestic energy sector. For years, Honorable Speaker, this administration has neglected local generation capacity at facilities like Kotu and Brikama.
Let's accept that as Gambian, this is a problem. But let us not come and use political gimmicks in this house.
Now, when we said we are not having correct supply with NAWEC, that is the reality. And that's what we face as a nation. And this we must accept.
Mr. Mboj, it got quite heated because in the introduction to that, I said, everybody suffers from it. But it then became sort of divided along political lines. People saying you're using that as a stick to beat the government, with which to beat the government. And others were saying, look, we need to look beyond this because even people who are government supporters are affected by it. As I said, it doesn't spare anybody. But that's what it kind of descended down to. But on a practical level, what was mentioned there about the economic reality of the impact of it, that is severe and that is quite serious.
And we are in democratic politics. So the idea that it descended there, this is what democratic politics looks like.
Of course.
Look at the wall. Go around the wall. You know what's been happening in Britain. They call it the mother of parliaments and democracy and all the rest of it. This is what democratic politics looks like.
Sure.
Yes. When you're facing circumstances, situations like this, you are the incumbent, opposition will use it against you. Just as when you build roads and build stuff, you will use it. You brag about it. This is the nature of the politics that we face. So this is the situation now. With the members of parliament, granted, you criticize. That's your job, really. But sometimes try to come with solutions. We are in a problem. We know the effect, the consequences across the board. There's a story we're going to go on to, even food security, what I eat, isn't it? Stuff like that. So now, how do we get out of this fix? Always, the longer term, people will always come to you and tell you about the longer term. We need to be more self-reliant and that sort of thing. But that's always long term, isn't it?
What about now?
But because it's tomorrow, are they? It's next week. It's next month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have the rest of the year to go.
And there was 2 weeks ago when people were complaining, tailors, saying that they couldn't sew because of, Tobaski, and they lost business big time.
That's right. Yeah. So what are we going to do about that, which will sort of morph, naturally connect to the intermediate goals and then the longer term. But something must be done now. So let's try to contribute to this. What are the problems? The regional power supply, that issue there, that's one. And sourcing critical spare parts.
Indeed.
The other day I spoke to Mariang of Gambia Participates, we'll probably come to that. And we were talking about, with this energy sector, the leaders, the competence, he was suggesting something like that. I could be a brilliant engineer, but hopeless at management.
Well, these
are different things. In Africa, we've seen, particularly Gambia, we've seen this sort of thing all the time. Oh, don't you know this guy? He's got a PhD in this A, B, C, and D. But the person could be hopeless in managing things. We all know that.
This is true. At university, we had lecturers who had PhDs, and they were rubbish at lecture. So yes, you're right.
The complaint in Britain that I left there, you will have like a brilliant technocrat. And I remember one complaining, but why aren't you the manager? I'm a technocrat. You're not a good manager. Let's get good managers.
Indeed.
English football had a manager, CEO, who was not a footballer, had nothing, didn't know anything about football, was it? Was it Crozier?
Crozier.
Crozier. But you are a brilliant manager.
That's right.
Let us get the difference.
This is it.
That might help.
Indeed. So please, we hope they're listening. And so, as you rightly said, Mr. Mboj, the next story does more than touch on that, and this is about food safety concerns. We spoke to the FSQA about this, and here's some of what they had to say.
Whenever you don't have electricity, at least for 24 hours, your food that is in your refrigerator, you should be very, very careful of eating that food. If it is ready to eat food, I would advise not to eat that food. Is to discard it, because even if you reheat that food, maybe bacteria would be maybe dead. Any pathogenic bacteria that might be would have died, but the toxins that have been left there by the bacteria will remain. So when you eat that food, it could be injurious to our health. Yes, so at the FSQA, we do inspections on daily basis. We inspect every food establishment. Wherever you find, we believe that is food is being stored or displayed for human consumption or public consumption, FSQA goes there. So we go around and inspect. So even if we are inspecting supermarkets, we go, we have, thermometers where we could check, refrigerators, freezers to ensure that they are operating within normal and required ranges.
Normal and required ranges, Mr. Mboj. There was a reason why we interviewed that chap from the FSQA, because we had colleagues here who had said that they had to discard food. But one of them said something which was very really made me want us to do that story. And he said, when he considered the amount that he had spent on the food, even though he knew that it had gone off, there was a temptation to actually consume some of it because of the amount of money that had been spent. And I'm sure, yes, this is one individual, but I suspect that person is not the only one who went through that in his mind and thought, how bad can it be? And so, the consequences could have been quite severe and quite dire.
But that was why the last time we discussed this, remember there was the press conference where somebody, government authority, saying that this was a glitch.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
We really took offense at that.
Yeah,
this is not a glitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you're going to call it a glitch, call it a glitch with massive consequences. Let's call it that. Yeah. In what the gentleman there said, they visit every food establishment. That cannot be.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
They don't have the capacity.
They don't have the capacity.
Sure.
And the nature of our society.
Yeah, quite.
Most of it so informal.
Exactly.
Go to any road, any street, people will just come and set up a table and we will come and buy.
Yeah,
you really cannot do
akara,
that.
You name it. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Maybe major supermarkets.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
On major roads, mini markets.
Yeah.
Granted, but you cannot do that. So be honest with situations.
Indeed.
So help us.
Yeah. Yes.
Given the situation we are in, the prolonged power cuts.
Yeah.
What can we do? What are the dangers? What are the threats?
What should we avoid?
What should we avoid? That sort of thing. But this trying to reassure us, we visit every food establishment. You don't even need to think about it much, given the nature of our society. You just simply cannot. You mean major ones?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. One understands that. But the informality of this area, you cannot do that.
Can't happen.
So just help us with the information we need. So deal with supermarkets, as it were, granted. Restaurants, granted, you may do stuff like that. But the informal stuff, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, quite. Totally agree. So please be honest. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboj. And a very different matter. We hear about migration a lot in the Gambia, and we've even invented our own word, the back way. Mainly to do with irregular migration, but also quite a lot of migrants come through the Gambia. And so we recently had to present our own report to the United Nations about how we treat migrants who come here, either passing through or end up staying. Here's some of what we told them.
For many Gambian families, migration represents hope, a chance for a better future. But behind every journey lies a story of sacrifice, uncertainty, and sometimes tragedy.
And under the Charter for Refugee Protection, transiting countries as well as source countries, and even host countries, have responsibilities towards refugees. And now you can see where Gambia sits, providing all the three puts him in a very unique position, but in a very difficult, challenging position, because it has to provide those that comes to the country to stay. It provides those that are on transit by making sure that their welfare are also catered for. So we went to Geneva to make the point that, look, we are doing our best. We are putting our resources at our disposal. We are putting our logistics at the disposal of this mechanism. We are doing everything we could, but rest assured that we cannot do it alone, and really we need support.
He's asking there for support, and he put the question and the suggestion to the UN in Geneva, which is where we had to file our own report. And as I said in the intro to that, Mr. Mboj, we tend to think of us, as in people here in the Gambia, being the ones making these migrant journeys. But actually, I've been quite surprised, no longer am, but initially I was, at the number who come here because they're escaping all sorts of things, whether financial or otherwise, and come here to the Gambia, either to pass through or sometimes to stay.
Absolutely, and what he said there, very correct. We're a destination for refugees fleeing instability. We are also an attraction for those in transit.
Indeed,
because good number of boats or arrests made by the GID, you would see the number of foreigners, the neighbors in there. And then you also have Gambians wanting to leave. But he said, we do not have the resources really to deal with this. So we will rely on the UN and other bodies, to help us here. Indeed. We are resource strapped, as it were. But now that is really where the danger is, because UN and all the international bodies, the main funder, the US. All of this funding, exactly, isn't it? So we are really in trouble here. This is a very interesting one. Where would funding come from? Would we generate it ourselves?
Sure.
Or we are at crossroads right now, especially with this, rogue elephant, Trump and America, and given the sort of the role that America played.
That's right.
Would China rise to the plate? That's absolutely,
that's
would it take up, as there were the space being vacated by the US?
Sure.
Would China take it?
Sure.
We do not know.
Yeah. And part of the debate around that had been when it became evident that Donald Trump was pulling out, people looked to the likes of China, they looked to the likes of Saudi Arabia. These are rich countries.
Yes.
And they were like, well, why isn't your portion of the pie bigger? And if Trump is going to, why don't you take up the slack? But as yet, in a few cases and in much smaller percentages than one would have hoped for, some of them have tried to do that. But in the main, and that is the point when we look at this, you go and you make that pledge or that plea to the United Nations, say we don't have the capacity, we don't have the funds. They're like, well, neither do we. When it comes to the funds, certainly, because, they're probably thinking to themselves, Mr. Minister, I'm sure you've read the newspapers that, we're being slowly underfunded, if not defunded in some instances. So, who do you make this plea to?
That's it. Yeah. So here we've got these two groups, these two parties, be it the West, America and China, different pretensions and different interests.
Yeah.
The West like to see itself as liberal democracy and that sort of thing, that kind of talk.
Right.
But now we are beginning to see that only when it suits you.
Indeed.
Isn't it?
Indeed.
So the people who really formed the post-1945 consensus, that order, now they think that, that order is no longer in their interest. So it's really about pretensions and interests.
Sure.
So maybe it is not in the pretensions of China or Saudi to be like that. May not be in their interest really to be like that. So this hope that they will step in, well, we do not know what is it they want for themselves.
Indeed.
We should be thinking like that in many ways. You see, I once heard Edward Said, the great Edward Said, and said that in the Arab world, when you go to the universities, they didn't have European studies.
No.
If I'm going to negotiate with you, I have to understand you. In Britain, there's a school for Oriental and African Studies. They are studying you, understanding you.
That's right.
You are not understanding them.
That's right.
Can we have in our university department for European Studies, particularly in our department for Chinese Studies, understand Confucius? You've got these institutes already. Who was he? What do they stand for? Then you will know how to negotiate with them. You need to know the person you're negotiating with. What makes the person tick?
Good point to end on. At this point, we'll go for a commercial break. And after the break, we'll have 5 more stories. Don't go away. Join us after the break. Hello and welcome back after that break. And if you're just joining us at this point, of course, you've missed 5 good stories, but fear not, 5 very, very good stories still to come, including this next one. Top of the hour, I mentioned the fact that ministers had been summoned when I was giving the rundown of stories to the National Assembly, and they were asked all sorts of questions. Here's a snippet of some of the questions and some of the answers that were given.
My team did an very extensive search from the closed file, but could not find any documentations regarding this particular project he's talking about. As such, there is no evidence as such yet that such contract has been signed by the Minister of Interior. That said, Honorable Speaker, I wish to inform this August Assembly that the Gambia Police Force, with support from the EU and GIZ, recently inaugurated a state-of-the-art forensic laboratory at the police headquarters in Banjul.
Following consultations and verification through the Gambia's mission to the United Nations in New York, the government has confirmed that the recorded abstention reflected a voting error. In this regard, the Gambia's mission in New York has confirmed that the government's position on the resolution of the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice and obligation of states in respect of climate change was immediately and subsequently rectified to the firm vote.
The government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports and its affiliate institutions, recognizes that irregular migration remains a significant challenge affecting many young Gambians. The ministry's approach is centered on creating opportunities for young people through employment, entrepreneurship, skills development, civic engagement, and awareness raising, thereby addressing some of the key drivers of irregular migration.
Mr. Mboj, at the top of the hour, I said some of the questioning when I heard it there. So youth and sports, we heard the answer. And the question he was answering is, what are you doing to stem the tide of migration? And he had to give an answer, I presume. He could have said not much, and it's not my business alone, but he tried as best he could. We also heard from climate change there about the error that we've told has now been corrected. And of course, the one that went viral, the one about the forensic lab, Mr. Mboj, widely reported as you delved into and found, but apparently nobody can find the documents or find the signed documents. Quite revealing.
Absolutely. He used the term extensive search. Had he done that easily, 2017, anybody can go online. The date was 20th of July, 2017. I think that agreement, according to the contemporaneous,
this is it.
See, this is the key.
Yes.
Contemporaneous accounts, not simply in one paper, 2.
Yeah.
That was the standard. I read it.
And
then the point as well.
That's right.
So something definitely happened.
Yes.
So one would have expected him to go delve more into it, but he just gave one line, moved on,
That's right.
as if don't want to talk about this when it is a major issue.
Well, indeed.
The person who brought it up, the National Assembly member, Banjul North, Honorable Modulamin Bab, I interviewed him.
Yeah, quite.
And then he said, yes, I saw this, so I asked the question.
Yeah.
And he said to me that he was just completely stupefied by it. That was why he couldn't even come back. That was too much, for the tongue.
Yeah, quite.
Then I also interviewed Tabora Bojang,
Right.
working at the Standard. He was there.
Right.
Mai Fatty was the minister.
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely. What Mai Fatty said, they were there. And they said that government wouldn't spend much here, really. This is all privately financed,
yeah,
and
that's
all
right.
of that sort of thing.
That's right.
And suddenly the minister comes and tells us this. And I have to say this, during our program, tried to call, to interview, tried so many times, one couldn't get through.
Sure. This was during drive time.
This was during the drive time,
Right.
absolutely.
Sure.
So that was the key. So now yesterday, sports minister, yes, it's good to create jobs and that sort of thing. Obviously, create opportunity for young people. But how much can you do to the extent that this will stem the tide?
Quite.
You see, it's a big problem. Employment is certainly one of them.
Sure.
But what have we heard? I'll be employed, I'm getting paid, I'm saving up so that I can go back way. So there is more to it.
Indeed.
We must be more nuanced, much subtler in how we tackle this. There's a narrative issue. Isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
There's a narrative issue. So it seems as if there's a general malaise about this country. Nobody's seeing any hope. Yes, you got a job, but how much are you getting paid?
Yeah, that's right.
Given my responsibilities at home, we are an extended family kind of society. I can pay you 20,000 a month. It wouldn't be enough. There's just so much to do. So it's a very difficult situation. Do not think that creating jobs for a few thousands fine will make a difference, because that's just one aspect of a much more complex problem.
As we found out when 3 immigration officers went for training and absconded.
See, that's it. So let us be careful how we deal with this, and we have to be mature about it and be more nuanced. We just use this blunt instrument. The politicians will also want to milk it and say, oh, they're not getting employment, they're not getting this, they're not getting that. We are forgetting the narrative issue. Who would be the great politician who can tap into that narrative? It's a mindset issue as well going on, you know. But who can tap into that? And I don't know. What can we do?
It's a complex one.
It's a complex one.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mr. Mbooj. Story number 7. I had lots of people contacting me about this and saying, I bet you're pleased about this. Well, I'll tell you whether I'm pleased or not when we get into the story. And it's about Kanifing Municipality and the digital address system and why they're doing it. Have a look and have a listen.
Funded by the Fund for Innovation in Development, FID, the initiative is being implemented in partnership with researchers from the Paris Dauphine University, Sciences Po Paris, and the University of the Gambia. The project seeks to improve planning and decision-making within the municipality by introducing digital addresses, integrating administrative data systems, and promoting the use of data-driven policies.
From the beginning, our objective was never simply to introduce new technology. Our objective was to understand how digital addresses and better information could help KMC become more effective in delivering services, managing operations.
The results show significant promise. On the strength of that evidence, FID is now supporting the second phase, which falls under what we call our Innovation and Public Policy Funding track. It's designed specifically for public entities that wish to integrate a proven innovation into their operations and commit to continuing to measure its impact as they do so.
Yes, and the reason I said that, Mr. Mbooj, lots of people sent me text messages and other messages saying, they said, oh, we remember the article you wrote for the BBC about addresses, and you must be pleased about it. And I'm like, yes and no. And I deliberately chose those bits because they tell you that this is about a transactional thing. It's about delivering services. It's about collecting rates, collecting rent, paying for your garbage, that sort of thing. And so my answer to one of them, I said, if I'm standing on a street corner and I want to know where I am, and I say to somebody who lives locally, what street is this? What are they going to tell me? Some Google Plus code? I need to know what street and where I am, and then I can tell somebody else, oh, this is where I was yesterday, the day before. But, you know, for those who want to collect taxes and such like, of course, it's great.
That's it. So people who said that really missed the point. The whole point here is really administrative.
Yeah.
KMC administration. When the mayor got up, when he spoke, he said what? Strengthen data systems, improve planning, and evidence-based policy making. That's got nothing to do with, I'm at home, somebody wants to come and visit me. I say, take a taxi, tell the taxi driver to bring you to Darame Avenue, Tusel Avenue. That's for us.
And that's quick.
That's quick. These things are two different systems, really.
Indeed.
So it appears as if to give streets names, or you want a community war, who would you name it after? So fact, weak leadership, they are weak. You cannot be weak. They're scared of how people will react. You see, weak leadership can never get radical things done. It will always be compromised, lowest common denominator.
And in 2019, Madison, Wisconsin had come to KMC and said, we can help you with this. Because I remember this, and I can quote, I had a discussion with the mayor, Bensouda, and I said, you can do both. You can do both your Google Plus Code thing, which he's still doing, and you can give street names. They're for different functions.
Thank you.
But if your function is administrative and about delivery of service and planning for that, then that's fine. That's good for you, but it's not good for the man and woman in the street.
It doesn't serve me at all in many ways. Yes, I interviewed Sabina Lee.
Right.
Yes, the research coordinator. And absolutely, and this is it. It's an administrative tool, and it's a fantastic idea. I have been asking whether other municipalities would follow suit, how you run your things. But for anybody to think that this is a good substitute for actually having street names, the convenience of living in a community and interacting and traveling, that sort of thing. It doesn't take care of that at all.
It doesn't.
So you're talking about two different things, really.
Absolutely. When you're playing football and they say, what street did you grow up on? And I say, Frederick Street or Circular Road or Goddard Street.
Where were you born? Hope Street. Where did I grow up? New Perseverance Street. Very easy to know. But anything outside of Banjul, but when Serekunda was forming, they had that, obviously, the tradition. But afterwards, we lost our good habits along the way.
It's a shame. So, So please, Mayor, I hope you're listening. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Mboj. Story number 8. Gambia participates. They brought up, they had a press conference and they dealt with several things. One of them was to do with electricity. Another thing was that why do we still not have a functioning anti-corruption commission? Here's some of what Marnyang had to say.
The reason why Gambia does not have an active anti-corruption commission is because the office of the president has not done what it ought to do. They have not also come out to the public and informed the public why the delay. Because every single day there are massive corruption scandals happening in this country that goes unaddressed.
They go unaddressed. Mr. Mboj, we could talk about everything from audit reports to local government commissions to white papers that have been put forward. And as I keep saying, I've been here since 2019 and I've been hearing talk of an anti-corruption. I remember they even brought somebody from Sierra Leone to advise on various things, like, because we have one there, anti-corruption commission, and a very active anti-corruption commissioner who posts stuff on X every day. But in the Gambia, we're still waiting. It's not as if we don't have corruption.
Adi, as Mar said during the press conference, we had a commission from 1994 to 2017.
Yes, right.
Absolutely, there was a report. What happened then. There were recommendations. Mar said they were selectively applied.
Indeed, yes.
And to some extent, it is the government's right, because the recommendation is not binding. But still, there must be a logic
behind why you're not pursuing one.
I'm not doing that, because you also want somebody, the argument to be coherent.
Yeah, indeed.
Consistency and coherence, these are very important for us. And then the Jamia assets.
Yeah, quite.
He
went on to talk about that. Yeah.
The Republic first broke it And the National Assembly as well, the Select Committee, we've seen what they've done.
Yeah.
When you look at National Audit Office, all the audits, financial irregularities.
Indeed.
When you look at the National Assembly as well, the Select Committees, you get a similar thing. The pattern is by now clear.
You didn't even mention the local government one.
Can you imagine?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, how do we measure political will?
Indeed, indeed.
Is it by the investigating corruptions? How many have we done? How many prosecutions have we done? How many arrests? When you look at our actions, maybe Mar is correct. It seems there's no political will, not much is going on.
Right.
All we get is, oh, we'll study recommendations, we'll do this, we'll do that. But this is in line with the general crisis of implementation.
This is it. And I always tell my colleagues in the news team who are very much younger than me, they get excited every time one of these reports come out. And I always say to them, let's wait and see what action is taken based on these recommendations. And so far, very little.
Oh, absolutely. You know, in the West, institutions are powerful enough really to push the argument.
Sure.
In Africa, institutions are so weak. Who appoints you in your office? The chief executive, in many ways, in all of them. So your allegiance is to him, not the state.
Sure.
So we really haven't got the concept of the state. That's why we are struggling with independence.
Yeah. Still. Thank you, Mr. Mboj. And now on to a very different story, our penultimate story. And it's about the government pushing for clean cooking gas. And when you hear this snippet, if you're in the West, my apologies for what you're about to hear. Have a look, have a listen.
As a ministry, we are pioneering, working with different sectors across the country to bring clean cooking gas across the country. This is our ministry and national policy, to ensure that women can cook in decency in every type of weather condition, and ensure that bitumen gas is available so that our women folks don't need to depend on the weather or whether they get a bag of charcoal for them to cook. The cost of using charcoal or firewood in terms of the healthcare implications is quite grave. Much research has shown that cancer that women derive from cooking using these biofuels are very, very alarming, and we believe it's a public health and public finance issue. That's why, as a ministry, we're very passionate about this, Franklin and partners here, and we really want to carry forward. These are low-hanging fruits, which we believe will have direct impact on the lives and livelihood of our women.
Lives and livelihoods of our women. Anybody watching outside of the Gambia knows that, yes, it is the women who do most, if not all, of the cooking, which is why the minister kept going on about women and cooking. This has been trialed also in Rwanda quite successfully, Mr. Mboj. And now we're trying to adopt it here, this clean cooking gas, taking us away from charcoal, which is very much a habit. And you drive around the country, as I did when I first came here. I was quite surprised because I hadn't been in a rural setting for a long time, how many people did actually still cook with charcoal and firewood. Yeah.
The argument for this, nobody can fault it.
Yeah, quite.
It's just so obvious that this is what we should do now that we know the damage to women and the cancer, just as he mentioned there. Sure. That's not really, for me, that's not the issue. He talked about the availability of this technology. Absolutely. And we also hope that it will be affordable.
Indeed.
Isn't it?
That's a crucial point.
That sort of thing. Would people adopt it?
Well,
that's another point. You know what I mean?
I know two people in Sierra Leone who quite almost competing, although they're friends, but they're both kind of pushing this, and they've been very successful over the last couple of years. In fact, both of them in the last month or two have actually won separate awards for the fact that this has been embraced to the extent that it's been embraced. So it seems, I know that's Sierra Leone is not the Gambia, but there were similar things in the way that people were using charcoal, using firewood and so on, and trying to wean them off that onto these, and it seems to have been taken off quite well.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Affordability.
Yeah, indeed.
Availability.
That's it.
Public confidence.
Yeah.
These things will carry you through because this is much more than energy, isn't it?
Indeed.
He said it there, public health.
Yeah.
Women's empowerment as well. Environmental protection. Economic. So it involves all sorts. There he said low-hanging fruit. Ooh. I used to think that such a concept exists. Some things can be so obvious. And it seems like a low-hanging fruit. But until I come to implement, then I realize that, oh my God, they were hidden as it were, impedimenta, as it were, in there. So,
and the impedimenta, in this case, could be the cost. If you want it to have an impact, the amount you'll have to spend to bring it about and to get public confidence in using it is not small, and it's not going to be small. And so that's a big thing. So it's not a low-hanging fruit. It might seem obvious and the best thing to do, but that doesn't make it a low-hanging fruit.
Absolutely. So you need skill in how you introduce it, isn't how you roll it out, how you can bring people on board. This is where leadership matters. You see, leadership can move people to follow you. People will walk through a storm if they believe that you could take them to sunshine.
Indeed. I love that. Thank you, Mr. Bush. And that brings us to our final story, and a very different one. And the reason I'll confess now that I brought this story is that I think it's something that people in lots of capital cities, in lots of African countries are finding. What is it? You have a capital city, there's a language that predominates, and then you have people coming who were not originally obviously from that, because they think this is where the jobs are, this is where the bright lights are, and suddenly the language of that capital city becomes a minority language. Have a look, have a listen.
We have the adage that Ablekuma Abakuma Wo, which means may foreigners come and live with us. And we accepted everybody. And we accepted their language as well. And for that matter, our language got swollen. Residents here say the Ga language was once heard everywhere in homes, schools, and markets. Now, many children grow up speaking English or Twi instead.
The concern has prompted a campaign by the Office of the Ga Traditional Council.
We want to partner with the Ministry of Education to integrate the Ga language in our GES curriculum.
It is a shame that other languages have dominated the Ga language here in Accra. It is important that we protect our language and ensure that our children learn it.
I moved from the eastern region of Ghana to live in Accra. My indigenous language is Akan, but I think learning the Ga language is important because it can help promote peaceful coexistence.
Ablekuma, etc., etc. May strangers come and live among us, Mr. Mbosh. But as he said there, the language got swollen. You know, suddenly you go to Freetown now, although Creole is still the lingua franca. Since the war in Sierra Leone, a lot of people who are not originally from Freetown drifted because they felt that was the safest place to be, and they've never gone back. And the population has quadrupled of non-Freetonians now, and Freetonians being outnumbered by non-Freetonians. And of course, the language changes inevitably, and that's what they're finding in Accra. It happens.
Yes. But I like that view. We hope the whole world will come. How open.
Yeah, indeed.
Very modern, as it were. This is really the modern world now. But this is it. This is the danger you face when you are open.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah.
Quite.
So, yes, we are so sentimental. Well, maybe some people will take issue with my calling it sentimentality, but throughout the history of man, languages have come and gone.
Yeah, well, this is it.
Just as man dies, so my creation will die and others will be born.
This is it.
Granted, I will lose something. Every language is a world.
Yeah, well, indeed.
We all understand that. But I do not know, maybe linguists and others will be interested in that sort of thing to make it survive, as it were, with the endangered languages they're called. I understand that around the world now you've got 7,000 languages. But 40% are endangered. Throughout history, we've had that. So good luck with what they trying to do. But for me, I'm not too attached with language. I'm more attached with values. I can learn good values in any language, I feel. Maybe I'm making a mistake.
I think that's a brilliant point to end on and a brilliant phrase to say. But thank you for that, Mr. Mbodj. And that brings us nicely, a nice full stop at the end of the program. Thank you for your interjections. And of course, to you, the viewers, thank you for watching. Until we come your way again next week. Goodbye.